Prime-time local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Well, happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Primetime Local News. Connor Chan and Elise Darwish, as always, starting off your week here, including our question of the day: what would you rather get rid of, social media apps or sites, or just stop watching TV/movies?
Yeah, I don't know. That's tough. I'm not a big movie TV watcher, so I feel like that would be a little bit easier to give up than social media because I'm constantly on it.
You give up watching The Bachelor?
I could do
or
it.
The Bachelorette?
Yeah, I could do it. It would be a struggle as much as I do love some reality TV, but I think I could do it.
Well,
yeah.
Well, we'll get to that a little bit later on in the show, but right now let's head over to Josh Ryan, who's live at the Lloyd X tonight.
Thanks very much, guys. Down at the Lloyd X for the Rotary Club of Lloydminster's 90th anniversary. Not a lot going on in the building at the moment, but it'll get busier over the next hour as members flood in. Again, a significant anniversary, obviously, for the club, as well as a chance to talk about the future. We'll get to speak to the incoming president, Stan Bugera, as well as our current president, here, Tyler Morissette. Plenty to come along the way, but first, let's go back to you guys and check out our look at our local news.
Advanced polls for Alberta's provincial election open tomorrow. The advanced polls are open from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. until Saturday, and there are a few different locations for people to vote.
Here in Lloydminster and this electoral district, number 86, we have advanced polls in Wainwright at the Communiplex, at Vermilion at the Elks Hall there. As well, we have also a special mobile poll that'll be open at Lakeland College in Vermilion on Tuesday and Wednesday.
The mobile poll will also be at the Lloydminster campus on Thursday and Friday. People can also vote anywhere in the advanced polls as long as they have the proper identification.
They must be living in Alberta and they must be 18 years old. Prove that a driver's license with a physical address is adequate if you're not on the list. If you have a post office box on your driver's license, you'll need to bring another piece of identification that identifies what your actual physical address is.
More on the election can be found at the Elections Alberta website. And last Saturday, a volunteer appreciation breakfast was held for volunteers of Lloydminster. The annual breakfast is part of the National Volunteer Week. The city holds the event to make sure the volunteers know that they are held in high regard.
Volunteers give so much to our community. They're contributing their time, they're contributing their talents, and it has a huge impact on the quality of life in our community. These are the folks that are making our sports teams run. These are the folks that are providing essential social services. These are the people that are making Lloydminster feel like a home to so many people, and it's really hard to put a price tag on that. It's just an amazing thing.
They were also recognizing the big role volunteers play in the community.
Volunteers mean so much to the city. They are a big part of putting together our community events, the deployment of a lot of our services, and they just make Lloydminster just a great place for everyone to live in.
And this weekend wrapped up to the Beat Dance Challenge, which was held here in the border city, and our Jasmine King has more on this event.
The competition was a 4-day event which started last Thursday. The event features dancers from around Alberta and Saskatchewan, and they want to reward them for the work they've done.
I wanted to create a higher level festival for local communities and our studios in town, with giving back to the dancers as much as we possibly could.
The event gives the dancers a place to show off their skills and how much they've improved over months of training.
It's so hard for someone that's not involved in the dance world to understand, but this is 9 months of rehearsal and kids learning new technique and perfecting new steps and putting them all together in a routine, and they get to see that come alive for 2.5 to 3 minutes, and it's so rewarding to see how hard they've worked and see it all come together.
The competition gives the chance to dancers of all ages to participate.
It's so much fun to dance on stage and be with my friends and everything.
The organizers want the dancers to leave this competition feeling their art was recognized.
I really want them to feel appreciated and that they got some good feedback from the judges and that we were able to offer this in this community.
This was the third year the competition was held. and they want to continue providing a friendly environment. Jasmine King, Primetime Local News.
The beauty industry is constantly changing and growing, and in this week's retrospect, I take a look at how a course offered at Lakeland College has changed along with it.
Esthetician program is a 29-week program which enrolls 20 students each year. Students receive in-class training as well as hours of hands-on training at a local spa. The program focuses on manicures, facials, makeup artistry, and much more.
Basic days, the girls would come to class. We have about 3 hours in the classroom, and where we do our theory and things like that, and then they have about an hour break and they go over to the salon, and then they have 4 hours of practicum working on clients on each other.
Flash forward 10 years, and a program that used to be done off campus now has its own lab space at the college.
So this has been here for about 8 years, and so it's grown. This lab can hold 20 students, and right now we have 19 graduating, so it's grown quite rapidly in the last 10 years.
Deb credits part of the success of the program to having good contacts in the industry and the constant interest in becoming an esthetician from the students in the program.
We have a really good relationship with industry within the community. The grads that we have typically are from surrounding areas, so a lot of them don't really stay local. They go back to where they come from. So there's always a really high demand for this industry.
As for any changes to come for the program,
we are looking at doing some sort of other expansion, but you'll have to kind of keep posted to see what that's going to look like.
And that's it for this week's Retrospect.
Retrospect is brought to you by Webb's Machinery. Webb's Machinery, your New Holland dealer in Vermilion, Bakerville, and Lamont.
And people across the country were wearing green yesterday, raising awareness about organ donation. The day honors the passing of a Humboldt Broncos player who gave his organs to save others. As Global's Albert Delitalis shows us, for one Edmonton family, it hits close to home.
He was a good kid, very protective over his family. Anybody that he's seen in harm's way, he was there to help out.
Christina Osmond Provencher's life changed on April 11th, 2 years ago. That's when she says her 19-year-old son Brandon intervened in a robbery near Edmonton's Coliseum LRT station. He was stabbed in the chest and died 3 days later in hospital.
It's torn a lot of people apart because of the way that we lost him, but because we were able to donate his organs, it gives us a little bit of peace that there's part of him out there, and that we know he's our guardian angel. Now he's other people's guardian angels as well.
Brandon's and other selfless acts were highlighted across Canada this weekend. Green Shirt Day raises awareness and honors Humboldt Broncos defenseman Logan Boulet. He was among the 16 dead in the team's bus crash a year ago and whose organs saved 6 lives.
We're asking them, have you signed your donor card? Have you registered with the Alberta Registry? Have you considered becoming a donor? Or do you know how many lives you can save?
In Brandon's case, 4 people got his organs. His mother has received letters from the man who now has his lungs and the woman who was given his pancreas and right kidney.
It breaks my heart, but it gives me a warmth feeling inside that we were able to help them, and Brandon was able to help them.
In a way, it kind of brings me peace just knowing like a piece of him is still living on out there, that there's somebody living life to their fullest because of him.
The family hopes others will follow Brandon's lead and become organ donors.
Do some research and see how many people are losing their lives because the donor is not there. Right? I don't know how anybody can turn it down, not giving the gift of life to somebody else.
Albert Delatala, Global News.
And now we're going to go to Josh Ryan, who is live at the Lloyd X tonight.
Thanks very much, Elise. I'm joined now by Tyler Morissette, the president of the Rotary Club of Lloydminster, obviously celebrating a very special day, your 90th anniversary as Rotary Club here in the border city. Just, I guess, how excited was everyone about the day, and how looking forward were you to being able to spend it with all the members?
Well, you know, it is an exciting moment. We have all the history is laid out here tonight for people to take a look at, you know, and I think that's why a lot of people are coming. You know, it's our 90th anniversary. We have about 90 people coming tonight. And yeah, I think it's more of a networking and just visiting for tonight.
Now, you have obviously have experienced a very rich history. 52 members currently with the group. You know, back in the 80s was an all-men's club until you made the change in 1987. There's been thousands of dollars raised for various causes. What are you most proud of, especially recently with the work you guys have done?
Well, I don't know, like speaking for my year here, you know, every year the president gets to pick a project in town. And I approached the Vic Juba Theatre, and they graciously accepted a $20,000 donation there. So that's one thing we did. Last year we helped out with the helipad over by the hospital. We donated $50,000 there. So a couple big donations there.
Yeah, and certainly, and probably some big donations in the future as well.
Oh yes, who knows what's coming up next, yes.
All right, we'll find out a little bit more about that later on in the show, but first let's head back to the studio and get a look at your local weather.
All right, thanks very much, Josh. Take a look at your temperature right now. Very gorgeous day outside today, 13 degrees. Yes, we're finally in those double digits for the spring temperatures here. A little bit of cloud coverage there with those winds, though, still coming in pretty heavy there at 25 kilometers an hour. So records for this time of year, 20 degrees was our warmest day back in 1986. Our coldest day was actually last year at minus 18 degrees. Very big difference compared from this time compared to last year. Take a look at the satellite radar map. No real cloud coverage. It's mostly clear and sunny for the next couple of days here in our areas. We'll showcase later on in our 7-day forecast. Take a look at some other temperatures right now. 13 in Lloydminster, like I mentioned. 14 degrees out in Cold Lake, Athabasca, Whitecourt, Edmonton. 13 also out in Rocky Mountain House in Jasper. 12 degrees in Edson and Red Deer. 13 degrees also out in Meadow Lake. 1 degree out in Melfort. 5 for Prince Albert. 15 degrees for Saskatoon and 14 degrees for North Battleford. Take a little more in-depth look at your regional temperatures right now as we get ready to take a look there. -1 overnight with clear skies in North Battleford, currently sitting at 14 with all sunshine there. Tomorrow, 11 degrees is the daytime high with maybe a few clouds here and there. Take a look at Cold Lake, -2 overnight, clear skies for the most part. 14 degrees the daytime high tomorrow, with mostly sun, and a few clouds there. For us here in Lloydminster, 0 degrees overnight with a few clouds, warming up to 14 degrees tomorrow. We'll have a little more of a cloudier day tomorrow with a few sun peaks later on. Take a look at the next 3 days. We'll have mostly cloud coverage on Wednesday, Thursday, but very warm days nonetheless, with 1 degree starting in the morning and then 11 degrees on Wednesday is the daytime high, and then 0 on Thursday, going back to 11 degrees on Thursday with winds still between 15 to 20 kilometers an hour. That's a first look at your forecast. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
Prime-time local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Welcome back. We begin our series of candidate profiles for the Alberta election tonight. Connor Chan sits down with Kelly Zeleny from the Alberta Advantage Party in the Vermilion-Lloydminster Wainwright constituency to find out about her campaign platform.
And we're very pleased to be joined with Kelly Zeleny from the Alberta Advantage Party for the Wainwright-Lloydminster Vermilion riding. So Kelly, first off, thank you so much for joining us today.
And thank you for inviting me.
Let's talk about the Alberta Advantage Party, because it's a newer party. Like myself, I wasn't too familiar with it, but I guess just why did you yourself choose to be a candidate for that party?
Okay, well, I was an old Wild Roser, and what happened with the merger, we didn't agree with the merger. We felt that the grassroots results-based governance would be lost. And it's proven to be true. A lot of the Wild Rosers were excluded from the UCP party recently. I just felt that I wanted that grassroots basis. I've been involved with ranching with my dad a lot. He was in politics, and it was just a really good, solid way of governing. It's from the people. Our policies come from the people, and I just felt starting this party, we ended up getting 9,000 petitions last year. There was a small group of us. And it was very important to us that we bring this kind of governance to Alberta.
Absolutely. So what particular in that platform stood out to you that made you say, you know, I want to represent this party and be a candidate?
I think accountability. We have a recall policy for sure. But it's just the accountability that any member, any 5 members actually, can bring forth a policy. So it's a government from the people. It's not a leader telling you this is what you need for your constituents. This is not a group of people saying, well, this is what you need. It's actually the people of Alberta bringing it. And it's Albertans for Alberta. It's what they want and what they need in their particular areas.
Absolutely. And what some things have you done leading up to the election? Because we're very close to the election now. So what are some things have you done? Have you gone out doing the traditional door knocking? Have you been a big social media presence? What's been your kind of campaign strategy here?
A little bit of everything. I entered late into the race last week. I've done door knocking. I've stopped into businesses. I sent an ad out in the newspaper. I'm trying to attend the candidate forums. I appreciate any radio coverage. There's a lot of area to cover, a lot of people, and because we're new, a lot of people haven't heard about us. So that's what's kind of going on. It's pretty fast and furious now to the last.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's getting down to that wire. So I guess for yourself personally, you mentioned it a little earlier about why you kind of chose to, but I guess we'll go little more in depth to, why you want to run, because obviously it's different when you're just a voter, but running, it takes up a lot of time. It's a big responsibility.
Yep. I just find that, federally or provincially, governments are not listening to us anymore. Alberta is really struggling now, and when Alberta struggles, the whole country struggles. Saskatchewan struggles. People are losing their homes, their jobs, and we really need to do something and not just be saying we're going to do something and it takes a 4-year election cycle to get there and then we realize, oh, we didn't do anything and try a new party. We're hoping to get in there and just say, hey, we've got the solutions. We have a net energy program that we've developed from people in the industry and we can get people working right away. We want to deal with crime, healthcare, things like that. And it's not major changes, it's small, efficient changes. We have to stop government spending. That is definitely a concern. And that's really why I'm in this race. I'm concerned about my neighbors, I'm concerned about my fellow Albertans.
Absolutely. Well, just before we're running out of time, how can people reach out to you? Is there a way that if they have any questions or if they want to get to know you a little bit more, where's some ways that they can reach you at?
On our main website, the albertaadvantageparty.ca, you can contact me there, also by email and as well by phone. I do have an ad that went out in the paper. My phone number and email are public, so certainly if you have concerns, please reach out and get a hold of me.
Kelly, thank you so much and good luck the rest of the way. And thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
And now we're going to take a look at your stock market prices for today.
We restore more than just property. We restore hope. When disaster strikes, call the one that can make it right. First General Services, your property restoration experts.
Welcome back. Well, even with the canola crisis, farmers are eternal optimists and will be putting seed in the ground this spring. Gerard Lampo gets some important information on getting seeding right the first time.
Stand establishes kind of everything from when growers are getting their canola seed all the way to its emergence.
Ian Epp with the Canola Council of Canada graduated from the University of Saskatchewan in 2013. He farms with his family at Blaine Lake. Getting canola seed out of the ground requires some agronomic planning.
All the decision making, all the factors that go into how much canola seed, when to plant, all the various factors in planting about how you're going to plant it, what speed, all these other factors, and then getting a nice canola stand out of the ground.
Factors like the weather are outside of growers' control when it comes to the speed at which plants stand out of the ground, but there are some key tips to bear in mind.
Seeding depth, so how deep we're putting the canola seed, how fast we're seeding, are we putting fertilizer with the seed? Some of these factors are really within the grower's control and make a big difference.
All the conversations may happen over winter, but in a mere 2 to 3 weeks in spring, the seed is in the ground.
So it's a busy time. Conditions in the field can change a lot, and so sometimes we have to adjust our seeding practices depending on how the conditions are changing. And canola seed is expensive, so we want to get this right, and we really only have one really good opportunity to go at it. So it's a big challenge for growers.
If you mess up, there's always some reseeding, but producers will try to avoid this.
Canola seed is expensive, so it's hard. You don't want to put too much seed down. and you want to maximize your revenue. On the flip side, it's hard to compensate for not enough canola seeds. The canola plants can branch out and they do some compensating, but at some point it's hard to fix not enough seed.
Gerard Lampau, Primetime Local News.
That's your egg news. Sports is next, but first we'll take a look at your egg prices.
Every member of the City Centre Auto Body team has been through extensive training. We're constantly upgrading our team's education to reflect current collision repair technique.
Taking a look at your local sports now, two defensive stars from the Lloydminster Barons are playing football in Regina this fall. Linebacker Garrett Hatchard and defensive back Ethan Mather have both committed to competing at the U of A Rams this upcoming youth sports season. Both athletes received interest from other schools, but liked the fit in Regina.
I got a scholarship at U of A and I was interested in U of S, but U of R fit best. It's really exciting.
The two will likely stay relatives of Mather's, which should help in navigating their first year.
Going into a new university can be pretty scary, but I think it'll be a lot more comfortable with someone else.
Head coach Aaron Harper expects them both to excel at the next level.
Happy for them. Happy that they're going to continue their football career and get a degree while they're doing it. The way that they play, with the intensity they play with, and the leadership skills they bring, they're going to be very, very good at the next level.
The youth sports season begins in late August. The Lakeland Panthers took home two North Alberta Bantam AA championship this weekend, sweeping the Sherwood Park Leafs in 2 games. The Panthers won both games handily by scores of 6-1 and 6-2. That wraps up the season that saw the team finish first in the white division with a 25-3-4. And now we're going to go to Josh Ryan, who's live at the Lloyd X tonight.
Thank you very much. I'm joined by Wade Blythe, longtime Rotary member and the chairman of the Anniversary Committee. Of course, a significant day, with this being the 90th anniversary of the Rotary Club of Lloydminster, all the way back in February 13th, 1929. That is quite the stretch. Just talk about the significance of when the club was formed, what that meant to the city.
Well, 1929, of course, we were a fairly small town back then, so the North Battleford Club decided to sponsor us. Rotary back then was very important for businesses, to networking with the community and that sort of thing. So and that's been a big importance. I think back then that was a big deal, you know, networking. It still is today, but it's a little different world now than it was then. And so I think that was the significant part of it as well, as doing work for the community.
Absolutely. Now, many significant events have happened since then. What's one or two quickly of the memories you have, perhaps, or just events specifically in the history of the club that stand out for you?
Well, we've done a lot of stuff since I've joined, but if we go back into the history, there were some interesting projects that they got involved in back in the day. Of course, we're having World War II and those kinds of things. So it was actually a project called the Chinese Relief Fund. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but it sounds like it was helping out people from the war. There was different things, Boy Scouts, Girl Guides back then as well. Different things than there is today going on. Today we're highly involved in just a lot of community projects. As Tyler mentioned, big donation to the helipad last year. Our big fundraisers, Lobster Fest, Dream Vacation Lottery, those kinds of things. And just so many projects that come forward now that we can get involved in, so it's really good.
Absolutely, and we have Lobster Fest to look forward to soon. That's obviously coming up over the next couple of months here, as well as the Dream Lottery as well. We'll have a little bit more from the Lloyd X in this next hour and plenty more in the second hour. Let's head back, though, to meet with Connor Chan and take a look at our local weather.
All right, thanks very much, Josh. Take a look at your weather. Some other temperatures, 13 degrees currently right now for us here in Lloydminster. 13's also out in Vermilion, Marwayne, Vegreville, and Provost. 12 degrees in Pierceland and Bonnyville. 14 degrees for Cold Lake and Lac La Biche and Macklin. 14 also out in Edmonton. 11 degrees for St. Paul. 14 out in North Battleford. 12 degrees for Maidstone. 11 degrees in St. Walburg. 10 in Meadow Lake. 9 in Green Lake. And 2 out in Isle La Crosse. Take a look at some other temperatures. A little bit cooler out in La Loche, Buffalo Narrows. La Ronge sitting at -2. -2 degrees. Flin Flon at -4, South End at -2, Wollaston Lake at -3, -1 out in Stony Rapids, -1 also out in Uranium City. Fort Chipeway with 1 degree, Fort McMurray sitting at 7 degrees. Slave Lake sitting at 8, Grand Prairie and Peace River at 12 and 14 respectively, 10 degrees out in high level right now. Take a look at southern Alberta, 14 degrees in both Calgary and Lethbridge, 15 degrees for Medicine Hat, 10 degrees for Banff there, 15 degrees for Swift Current and Moose Jaw, 14 degrees out in Regina, 17 out in Kindersley, and 9 degrees for Yorkton, 12 degrees also out for Estevan. As we take a look at more temperatures for tomorrow, 14 degrees for our daytime high here in Lloydminster. 14 degrees will also be the daytime highs for Vermilion, Marwayne, St. Paul, Bonnyville, Cold Lake, and Pierceland as well. 12 degrees out in Meadow Lake for tomorrow. 11 degrees out in Green Lake. 8 degrees for Isle of Cross. 11 in St. Walburg and North Battleford. 15 degrees for Macklin and Provost and Wainwright. 13 degrees for Edmonton as well. As we take a look at the school day forecast for tomorrow, it's going to be starting off the day a little bit warmer, of course, 8 a.m. here with that 3 degrees of mostly sunshine, and a bit of clouds as more clouds will start to come in throughout the day tomorrow around recess time. 7 degrees, but it'll get very significantly warmer. 7 degrees at recess time, mostly cloudy though. Then we head over to lunchtime where it's still going to be cloudy, but still in the double digits at 11 degrees. And then home time, gorgeous temperature-wise in terms of 14 degrees. Still cloudy though, but nonetheless, we'll take what we can get with temperatures. Taking a look at your 7-day forecast, 11 degrees for tomorrow as per Wednesday, as our daytime high, 1 degree their low of 0 on Thursday, still same as 11 degrees for the daytime high. Still some decent winds though between that 15 to 20 kilometer an hour range. A little bit cooler Friday morning, starting off at -2, 12 degrees will be the daytime high for Friday with more sun coming out, but mostly cloudy there. 15 degrees will be our daytime high for Saturday with the same results as Friday in terms of cloud coverage there. 14 for Sunday with a low of 3 degrees, and then 56% chance of some rain this time next week at 13 degrees the daytime high and the low of 2 degrees with that winds though are still going to be creeping in, and there's also a 55% chance there of some precipitation we may get on Sunday as well. Let's look at your 7-day forecast. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
And now we're going to go to Josh Ryan, who is live at the Lloyd X tonight.
Thank you very much, Elise. I'm joined by the longest serving member in the history of the Rotary Club of Lloydminster, Pat Holt, 63 years. That is quite the period. You were telling me off camera you have many great stories from that era, including settling disputes of 10 cents between some members. What's the thing that stands out to you the most? What's the thing you think of most when you think of your time spent with Rotary?
Oh, fellowship.
And I guess what is it most about fellowship that is so important?
Well, mainly just seeing fellows again every week. But since I retired, I don't go every week.
That's understandable. You should take a break once in a while. Is there a moment you're kind of proudest of in terms of your time as a member of Rotary?
Oh, not really. I enjoyed when I was president. I was perfect attendance for 2 years. Then I gradually slipped.
as one might. What does it mean to you to see all these people here to celebrate the 90th anniversary?
Well, it's wonderful because when I was regular Rotary, we only had about 39 members.
And obviously more than double that. 52 members now, and I think almost 100 people.
Yeah. It was always thought around Rotary when we got to 85, we'd split and form another club. Well, they did that. We got a breakfast club when we were around 80 members, and we were over 100 at one time. But then
and now we've also moved, and I guess we've also moved on too now that there's the Bonnyville Club starting up as well. So
we started doing Wainwright a few years ago.
Absolutely. Thank you again for joining us, Pat. We'll have more from Lloyd X with a couple more guests, including incoming President Stan Bagheera. Back to you guys to take a look at your local news.
All All right, so our question of the day today, what would you rather get rid of? Social media apps or sites or movies and TV? It's a real mixed response. A lot of people are saying social media, some are saying TV. Social media just because maybe it's a bit of a distraction, or TV, like you were saying, you could do without TV.
I could. I think TV would be easier to give up for me. Social media I use all the time for work and just personal life, and I'm always on it. So I think that would probably be a harder give up. But
I'm probably the same way. I would want to give up TV.
Yeah, TV's tough. I don't know. Netflix would be tough too. I don't know.
Riverdale,
it's all
all
just. I mean, it's just it's tough because we use it all the time, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's that time of the show. It's a new week, so new chance for you to win a Lloydminster Pet Pad gift card as we take a look at the submissions for today. This is Jax, submitted there by Brad.
Cute.
Very, very adorable. This is Holly, submitted there by Christy with her little ball of string.
Yeah.
This is Duke. He's got his stick, submitted there by Shannon. Up next, this is Diesel. Looks like he's sprouting in a flower. Yeah. And last but not least, this is Lady, submitted by Danica. Look at that face.
Sweet. Just a baby.
Very adorable. Well, if your pet was shown on today, you're automatically entered to win a Lloydminster Pet Pad gift card, which we're giving away at the end of the week.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to have them featured on Pet of the Day. Your name will be entered into a weekly draw for a gift certificate from the Pet Pad.
Well, the election just about a week away. That means we'll get to another edition of our candidate profiles for Bonnyville, Cold Lake, and St. Paul. I'm Justin Marshall, and I'm joined with David Inchco with the Alberta Advantage Party. Welcome, sir.
Welcome. Nice to meet you.
So, Alberta Advantage Party, who are they?
Well, quite literally, I would say that we are the Wild Rose Rejuvenated. We're definitely a grassroots party. All the founding members of the party were members of the Wild Rose, and when the unification between the PCs and the Wild Rose took place, we did not agree with it in any way, shape, or form. We felt that we were basically losing the ideals and all the ideas in which the Wild Rose actually stood for, and so we started forming another party, which eventually became the Alberta Advantage Party.
Why didn't you agree with the ideals?
Quite literally, the Progressive Conservative Party has an absolutely total different philosophy on how politics is run. It's very much a centralized, top-down type of political party, and the Wild Rose was definitely not that type of party. And so you've got two total, complete, separate concepts as to how a political party should be run. And as we've now seen with all the problems that they've got internally within the UCP, trying to put the two together and marry them, it just don't work.
So, David, why did you decide to run for MLA?
Well, there was nobody running here. I have had an interest in politics for, going back to the early 1980s. And if I'm going to espouse views to start a brand new party, I had better be able to back them up and step forward.
What does the Alberta Advantage Party stand for?
We do stand definitely for free enterprise. We do believe in balanced budgets. We do believe very strongly in the individual person having a direct contact with their government and a direct say in how things are done, not just every 4 years when you put an X on the ballot, but literally at any time. That's why our number one platform is the right of recall.
David, when I'm at events, all I hear from people is economy, economy, economy. How do we get people back to work?
Actually, I'm very glad you asked that one, because the Alberta Advantage Party has an energy platform that will literally put people back to work practically immediately. And the infrastructure that's needed for getting people back to work already exists in the province. The biggest problem we have is an awful lot of government red tape and regulation that's in the way that is stopping people from getting back to work. And it's literally stifling and killing any idea of entrepreneurs wanting to invest in Alberta.
How do you plan to get pipelines built?
Pipelines, although we'll advocate for them strongly, they are definitely the number one way to get any of our resources to market. Unfortunately, they are in federal jurisdiction. And also, unfortunately, we have a province to the west of us, as well as one far to the east, that has decided they don't wish to cooperate in any way, shape, or form. The only thing we can do is bring about every piece of political as well as economic strategies that we can put in place to help facilitate getting these pipelines built. They are absolutely necessary.
David, it's been a lot of fun catching up with you. I really appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you very much.
That's David Inchco with the Alberta Advantage Party. The Alberta election on April 16th. Don't forget to get out and vote. For Primetime Local News, I'm Justin Marshall.
Furniture supplied by Furniture Gallery and Furniture House, downtown Lloydminster.
Back on Primetime Local News with Bobcats head coach and GM Nigel Dubé. A couple of things just to look back at the past season you had. Obviously, it was a rebuilding year once the decision was made to bring you in as head coach and GM, and then further on your decision to trade some of the older guys on the team, the leadership group essentially, to spots where they had a chance to compete for a championship. And yet you still had a few bright spots on the roster during the year, one of which was Mason Waite getting named to the All-Rookie team.
Yeah, and I think that was, Mason came here as a young guy that got put into the situations that maybe on a deeper team you might not have those, but he flourished in those areas with the opportunity, and I think that was part of it too for other guys too, our young guys that got those experiences as the stretch went down with the trades and whatnot that transpired there is that they got put in those opportunities, and Mason did a good job of it. When I got here, we started doing video with him and different parts and teaching points that we needed to that opened up his eyes a little bit more of things that he was habits and how to change those, and to have the ability to have the video and the resources to teach these guys, which we brought in early December, help their games within the game, and that was a big piece and a good highlight for Mason himself as well as his teammates.
Do you expect Mason, and I guess with a couple of the other young guys, expect them to take on bigger roles this year, or just to continue to develop?
Well, continue to develop, but also take on bigger roles. Kind of in that last 2 weeks of the season, everybody got put into different situations, and it was, no secret to the players. It was a tryout, right? You're going to get some power play time. You're going to get penalty kill time. Our guys that usually weren't penalty killers were put into those situations to see how they could handle them. And see if they were, if they fit that role. Are you a PK guy? Are you a guy that creates on the power play? What are you? So to see those guys now go into the off season and then the ones that return of how they handle their new role or the expectations are going to be bigger and greater for them to continue to move forward and develop within that.
You hopefully got a chance. I know you were busy enjoying some of the sun recently, but you hopefully got a chance to watch a little bit of the AJHL playoff picture over the last month or so. Have you kind of caught up on that, or no?
Yeah, well, the good part nowadays with technology is work never ends, and wherever you go, I'm a guy that continues. So if there's a hockey game and I go on a holiday, I find a hockey game to go to. So, it's one of those where I've followed along with it. And I think a big piece, and I've said this to many people now, is you tune in, but it gives you a little bit of the hunger because you want to be in those situations rather than watching that. And even from the day one of the playoffs, so that was the feeling. Was to we should be there. It's something I'm not used to. It was the first time as a coach or as a player that I was never part of a playoff picture. This is a first this year, and from our organization, from an individual standpoint, we don't want that to be a repeat. And I think the work that goes in, but our league's doing good things. Our league is moving forward, and the playoff picture, brings that exposure to the Alberta Junior Hockey League.
And a little bit of exposure for Lloyd, despite the Bobcats being out of the playoffs, obviously, with TJ Lloyd getting the accolades he got, as well as competing well in the playoffs with his Spruce Grove Saints. Thanks again, Coach, for coming in and visiting with us and catching us up on the season. So remember, everyone, this Friday morning is when spring camp will start for the Bobcats. And, of course, tune into Bucky and the Gang tomorrow. Tuesday night sports show will be on in the evening there, live from the Canadian Brew House. As always, a great panel of guests. And, very excited for this upcoming season. So look forward to chatting with you again soon. Enjoy the rest of the cast on Primetime Local News. Thanks again to Nigel Dubé for stopping in to our studio earlier this afternoon. I am now joined by Stan Bugera, the new incoming president of the Rotary Club of Lloydminster. Stan, sounds like you guys have been, busy already trying to get things set up for this new calendar year of Rotary. What are you most excited about in terms of what you're working on?
This did end up being a big year for us, that's for sure. With our 90th anniversary, which is going on here tonight, obviously.
as well. It's our 40th anniversary of our big fundraiser, Lobster Fest, so that's coming up May 4th. And although the event is actually Lobster Fest, the real cause is, of course, Rotary, and helps us do some of the things locally for students and some projects around the world to the tune of over $600,000 over the last, since 2010. So a big deal, and with the support of lots of people supporting our projects and our fundraising events, it helps us to do that work. But to your question about what my vision for the year, the biggest thing that we have to do in order for us to be able to really, make these projects or events a success is we need full club engagement. And last year with Lobster Fest, we had a record number of seats sold, biggest one yet. And we had every member is hands-on and contributing in some way. So that's the big one. We got Bonnyville Club. We're looking to get that going here. They got lots of interest up there, so we're quite hopeful that that's going to go ahead, and it should be, before you know, the year will be wrapping up, as they say. That's just kind of how it goes.
Absolutely, and obviously it's a cool story to see you guys make that decision to help out Bonnyville, get that started. When you think about it, that's how you began all those years ago. So again, 90-year anniversary here at the Lloydminster Exhibition Association. Thanks once again, incoming President Stan Bigera, for joining us.
Very good. Appreciate the opportunity to chat about it.
Absolutely, and we appreciate you stepping in. Thanks very much. We'll go back to you guys in studio to wrap things up.
All right, thanks very much, Josh. Take a look at your 7-day forecast one last time. 14 degrees for us tomorrow, mostly cloudy and a little bit of sun there. 11 degrees on Wednesday, Thursday, mostly cloudy with the lows of 1 and 0. Friday, the sun will come back out with mostly cloudy and a bit of sun with low of -2 and a high there of -12 degrees, excuse me. 0 degrees on Saturday is the low, 15 degrees for as the daytime high. 3 degrees for the low on Sunday with mostly cloudy, and sunny skies with a 55% chance of some showers, and then a low there of 2 degrees. And then for Monday, 13 will be the high with a 56% chance of some rain. So
that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. As soon as the sun peeks out, it seems really warm. I came into work without a jacket on today. You were wearing shorts
and a hoodie. That's a classic. That's a classic Connor look. That's the classic Connor look that everyone that knows
That's
me.
your good go-to. Well, there you go. So it's sunny. It's warm. It's okay if it rains a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
well, I mean, like the record for that time of year, coldest day was last year at -17 there.
Yeah.
So that was like, -12 wasn't far off from what I said. My little error there.
Yeah, -12. We don't want to see -12, unfortunately.
No,
let's just
we're used to
let's
this.
stay in the double digits and the positives.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Well, that's gonna do it for us. Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good night.